Hello, Bicycle World. This is Calvin Jones with the Park Tool Company. It is live Tech Tuesday coming to you. Remember, because it's live, you can write us questions. So if you want to type away, send some questions in. But we have some things for you today, some new topics. And I want to start with who's new in blue? Ben Oliver is new in blue. You're going to be seeing Ben more on the Video Repair Help as we build our library video collection. So Ben, give us some of your background. I want to know some of your street creds, or if I understand right, road creds.
Right, yes. I've been a mechanic for a number of years. Worked with the Bissell Pro Cycling team, Slipstream Sports, the Garmin Sharp team. Worked for Surly Bicycles for a long time, and now I'm here to help out with Park Tool.
That's great. That's great. Okay. Besides the magnificent beard, which I admire, never been able to. We have some nice tats. So is there a good story? What, you were in a faraway port, or someone broke? What is the story on here?
It's a collection. In my travels, I got a lot of tattoos and just as reminders of where I've been and all that sort of thing. So yeah, lots of stories.
You don't get the souvenir. You don't get the souvenir spoon. You get a
right.
tattoo.
Some people get bumper stickers. I have one.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Do they do that at the airport? I wonder. Would be fun.
No.
Would be fun.
I believe the needles would set off the alarms.
Yeah. Well, we see you there now, but if we go back a long way, let's talk about what you wanted to be as a kid.
Right.
So when you were really young, what's some of the fireman, the police person? What is it going to be?
Actually, when I was a child, I saw a guy hanging out of a car fixing Miguel Indurain's bike, and I thought, if that's a job, I want to do it. And I eventually did manage to do that job, and I didn't fall out of the car ever, and everything was fine.
Nice.
Good times.
Nice. Happy ending. You get paid for hanging out of a car.
Yep.
That's good. That's a good bit.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to some things that we talked between us here, and some things that kind of bug us both. We have our own little issues and some miscommunications between our industry and the consumers, and sometimes some misunderstanding or some misconceptions. So those are some things we want to clear up. So Ben, tell us about some pedal things here.
Right. Not long ago, we asked our audience to send us haikus about pedal thread direction. The one I liked the most was "right is right and left is wrong." Guy Michael sent that in. So one thing to remember with your pedals is that they don't both thread in the same way. Your right pedal is right thread, the left is left-hand thread. You can tell that by the way the threads slope. That's important to know, because you don't want to do it the wrong way, because you will destroy your bicycle.
So you could do it the wrong way if you really put your mind to it.
If you really tried, yeah. But we recommend.
And then tears in the end.
Yep, tears in the end.
So is it always R and L on your pedal?
It could be. It just depends. We've got we have a D here on this Campagnolo pedal. I believe they call it Duracia.
It's
in Italy.
Yeah.
So it could be something else. So it's always good just to look if you don't speak Italian.
Right.
Like I don't.
Right. So the threads are international. The slope, they're not going to lie to you. Check the direction of the threads.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, one thing I want to talk about is chains, and I saw it just this weekend. I was at a race, and there was a mishap with a rider, and someone was beside. There was a coach on the trail, and they fixed the chain for this athlete, and the coach said, "Oh, I took a link out. I took out a link." Well, he didn't take out a link. He took out 2 links. Each piece of the chain is a link, and we'll see why. Well, first let's look at a chain. Now there's a chain. So if you look at this chain, let's count the link. Clearly a link and a link and a link and a link. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know how to count. That's the point is a link and a link, and if we had more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically each rivet there is going to account for a link, okay? So I understand we're swimming upstream here. There's a lot of people that say, oh, you can take out a link, inner and outer plate. Yes, so we have an inner link and the outer, and then inner and outer, and then repeat, 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 repeat. Okay, well, let's get some confirmation on that. Let's bring in some heavies here. This company, little old company here, and then also the other S company, Shimano. Check out the box, 114 links. It says it's a 1/2 inch chain. That is rivet to rivet, 1/2 inch. So 114 links, that's pieces of chain. If this truly were a link, 1 inch worth being a link, that's 104. Is that a long chain?
That's far too long. I mean, it's much longer than necessary.
Right. I'll recumbent. I only think 2 recumbents might.
Two recumbents chained together. Yeah.
You could share a chain with your friends if that were true. So a link is a piece of chain. That's why we like to recommend a rivet or a number of pins. So that we've cleared that up for the world. Now, let's do some lube.
Yeah, Calvin, you worked at Barnett's. You taught there, and one thing that I was taught at Barnett's is that you can never have too much grease.
Oh yeah.
Things have changed though now. You've got carbon parts are now much more prevalent. So knowing when to use grease, where to use it, pretty much metal on metal, you want to use grease. If the carbon surface, you want to do the carbon assembly compound, keeps everything either lubricated or stuck in place where it should be. So
yeah.
that's our other.
What is it about the assembly, the SAC? That's our super assembly compound. What is it about it that's different?
So there's a small media in there that's suspended in the grease or the assembly compound, and it will keep your carbon parts in place without any bonding or anything like that. Just keeps things where they should be and where you want them.
We might say millions of biting teeth on your seat post. Well, several 100,000 anyway, but we can round up. So if it's moving and turning and stuff like that, it's grease.
Grease.
If it's not going to move, seat post, assembly compound.
Yep.
Okay, good. Now, over to me. History is important, kids, and adults both. A little bit of history. This is kind of fun here. He was talking about being a child and seeing Indurain getting fixed. I wasn't no child when that was happening. When I was young, this is what I started on, my first robot. Cothered crank. It's a cothered crank. A pin goes through there, a cotter pin. You may be familiar with the CCP 22 or the CCP 44. CCP, collarless crank puller. This is for the aluminum arms that don't have the cotter pin. Isn't that funny how we named that? It's like kind of like the horseless carriage. Put some gas in your horseless carriage this morning.
Right, yep.
And nobody says that anymore.
Go to the moving picture show.
Yep. So we're gonna take this bit of history, put it to the side, and bring out this piece of history, pejoratively called the rat trap. But your rats in this case are your feet. It's a toe clip. Your shoe goes inside. You cinch it up. This is the classic Christophe steel. I love these. These are the mediums. You could get longer, and then the strap comes through here. And this one was classic with the end piece. You grab that and cinch that up, coming down to the final sprint, Ben. Wouldn't we?
You've booby trapped this one too.
Yeah, this one's broken. If you see this one, this one's nice. They broke off here, so we got ow, right? So if you're using these, be careful. So why am I showing you this? Because these are still a wonderful piece of equipment. Not the rat trap, the strap itself, the utility strap. As a matter of fact, you can get these, say, from Surly, in a long, now that's a big foot, right? That's a big rat to catch there. So we want to route these correctly. You will see some crazy routing. Here's a good example here. This is routed through wrong, back around, doubled around, no adjustment whatsoever. Correct would be this. Here, we can cinch them by pulling tight, breaking them free. But again, more importantly, this is really for tying stuff now together. You can tie tools together, you can tie legs of stuff together. So let's see how this works here. I want you to think about this. So here we have Mrs. Crocodile, and she is going to wait for Mr. Worm comes up through the hole against the roller and you got him. All right, the teeth are biting the strap against the roller. That is correct. Just this weekend was again at another race, and this person did this, and boy, they did that. Yeah, and they weren't sure what to do, so they did this, and okay, that's probably good, huh? No, it's slipping, it's moving, that's not how it goes. So the teeth of animals, they want to bite, and no different here with our crocodile. So trap what you're biting with the roller, here it comes, down. The teeth are gonna bite here. I pull hard, I need to cinch it tighter, you pull here, it comes through. Clever design, it's still applicable for holding things together and snugging up stuff, so.
If you're gonna kick it old school, do it right. is
That's
what you're
right,
saying.
that's
the
right,
lesson
that's
to learn
right,
here.
that's right.
Yeah.
So, and the leather ones, again, we can see the wear marks here. This one was gonna need to be replaced as these get gouged out. A nice soft leather, your Binda classic, old school. So we've shifted, we've done our drivetrain, let's move back to the rear derailleur. How do we shift this thing around? What are we talking about?
The other thing that I have heard for many years is upshifting and downshifting. Which is right? It's a question of gear ratios, not so much direction. One way to remember is turning the cassette on its side, and you're going up the peak. This is the upshift, this is the downshift. It's a question of gear ratios, not direction. So also, when you go into your local bike shop and start to confuse your mechanics, you can, that's one area. So just remember, shifting down into an easier gear, up into a harder gear.
That's right. So the last thing we're going to wrap up with, and then of course questions for Ben or me, is the difference between a wheel and a tire. And yesterday I had a racer come up to me. He was so proud, and he grabbed his whole, he went to the store. Yep, I got a new tire. Okay, did you get some other stuff attached to it? We got the whole wheel, true. So when we say tire and wheel, it's good to try and speak the same language. Another person the other day said, boy, I had a bad crash and I bent my tire. Well, did they really mean that? I can bend that, but it seems to bend back just fine. They bent the wheel. So on our nomenclature, of course, we have our hub, right? Spokes, we know that. The rim is the metal hoop. The tire is the rubber piece that attaches to it, okay? And you could call it a complete wheel would be with tire, and then just without would be just the wheel alone. So there was a little bit of overlap there, but this whole thing here, it ain't no tire, right? It's a wheel. So trying to all speak the same language here. Each industry, each sport, cooking has its own terms, cars loaded with it, okay, accountants, we all do, so.
We have some questions from the viewing audience, Kellen and Ben. Tipo D wants to know, grease on pedal threads as well?
Grease on pedal threads?
Grease the pedal threads, you're gonna prevent corrosion, and you're gonna get proper preload as you tighten.
What about anti-seize? Maybe we should talk about that now, since it's...
Anti-seize is kind of fun stuff. Anti-seize is heavy-duty grease for static situations. Okay, so the anti-seize compounds are basically ground metals and mineral oils, and what it does is it sticks, which is why it's good to wear rubber gloves when you work with it. A pedal thread, it's going to be real sticky on here, it's going to allow good torque and tighten it, and it's not going to wash off as easy. So if you get it all over your hands, you'll find out when you go to wash it off how well grease would work today. Okay, for that matter, we could put a very light drop of oil. It would be good for a little bit. It's going to wash off. Grease lasts longer, but the most durable, anti-seize, ASC1.
Good for pedal threads.
Yeah, good for pedal threads. A turning ball bearing,
Not
so good.
Yeah, I don't want it. That would...
Never assembly compound, never anti-seize, or PPL or HPG grease for the turning ball bearings.
Gage Jacobson wants to know, what grease do you use on Ben's beard?
Any grease works in the beard, yeah. The HPG, high performance,
Well,
just
that's true.
poly lube. It all gives it a nice luster.
Well, you've seen this,
Yeah.
when Ben was very deep in thought thinking about this index adjustment, it's a little bit of this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it helps him think, and I think we're
Yeah.
gonna see it.
Yep.
Yeah, some stuff in the beard.
Daniel Wayne, sort of a specific question. Can I put volume spacers in RockShox Monarch Plus with auto sag?
Let's ask RockShox that. Important thing, hand off when you're not sure. We could look it up, and then you could look it up, but let's go to our buddies over at SRAM.
Mike Muntean wants to know, how much stronger is a double wall rim, really?
That's a good question. Significantly.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say twice as double wall, so is it twice as strong? In some ways it is. So what is he talking about? That we see the rim material here. Let's see if we have a better example. Ah, how convenient. We must have known he was writing. So there's this material on the outside, and you can see the inside here. So there's a gap or a box that's the shape inside. So you are getting significantly more strength. So here we can see the hole, and down inside is that gap. That's the box we're talking about, so this is a double wall. A single wall, a very inexpensive rim, goes down and around, and the nipple would be visible right on top. There is no box shape, much weaker. Anytime we can enclose space with material, it's going to be stronger. Think of a flat piece of steel being flexible and a round tubular piece of steel, same amount of steel, it's going to be much stronger in all directions. So significantly stronger than non-box.
Yep.
Yep.
Graham wants to know, how many additional links do I need to include when chain sizing a dual suspension bike?
Oh, that's a good one, good one.
Yeah, it was a hot topic recently with our repair help. Chain manufacturers are now, it really depends on if it's a 1x or a 2x system. Many 1x systems are now saying to add 2 links or 1 link. So the best thing to do is when you see your chain, consult the manufacturer, and and Calvin's saying 4 links. 4 links.
4 pieces of chain. 4 pieces of chain. Yeah. And also on your suspension, people, watch the pivoting. Watch the pivot. Is it when you load that up? Is it shortening the distance, or is it lengthening the distance depending on the design? Set it for the furthest away as it pivots from the bottom bracket. That's where you want to be doing your links.
Carlos Ruiz wants to know, what's the best way to check a chain and cassette for wear, and how do I know when I should replace either?
An old technique that's kind of fun and still good is, let's go ride the bike. If it's skipping, if your alignment's good and your indexing is good and it's skipping, it's likely going to be the chain and or the cassette. The chain checkers let you replace chains to keep your cogs fresher.
Yep.
And at some point, it's all going to go. So skipping under load, assuming your indexing is good, that's the best way and the most fun.
Mickey Polauskas wants to know, thread locker compound or grease for installing BB30 bearings?
BB30.
BB30, the press fit. Yeah. What do you think?
BB30 or PF30?
Yeah, BB30. He said BB30, but many people confuse it with the PF30.
Right. So BB30 has a pressed-in bearing with a retainer clip, so that you could probably go with grease.
Right? If it's a good tolerance from the manufacturer,
Correct.
grease would be fine. Now the fun thing about the retaining compounds are liquid, or the thread lockers are liquid. So pressing and tightening things, you do get some of that lubricative properties, and then they set up. So if it's a bad fit, we'd want to go our retaining compound.
Yep.
And if it's good, you could probably get away with grease.
Yeah.
The press fit PF30 we were talking about earlier, big plastic adapter.
Yep.
The BB30, a metal steel bearing into a metal shell.
Yep.
Yep.
Mike Eldicott wants to know, what's the best way to apply rim tape to new rims, as all the tape I have applied has come off when fixing a puncture or removing the tire?
Are we speaking tubeless, you think? Or is he speaking tubed?
Let's cover both.
Okay.
Two for the price of one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to take which?
I'll do the tubed.
Okay.
Rim tape for a standard rim, generally a good way to make sure everything sticks is make sure it's clean. The adhesive will stick, a little acetone, and just wrap it around, and that hopefully will suffice.
Right, and some of the better quality strips are stretch style. The FSAs and so on, WTBs are stretch, so they're not counting on adhesion. Tubeless, oh, what fun, tubeless, yeah. Clean again, gluing a tubular tire, painting your house, adhering to surfaces, we begin clean. So that's the key thing there. And if you've already done it and you got your tube juice in there, sometimes it's unfortunate, you just have to back all the way out, take it off, and start over. It's hard to patch over if it's not sticking. Also, different brands of tapes do have different adhesion. And some of the rims, unfortunately, do seem to have that nice egg-baked surface that eggs would not stick to.
Right.
It's pretty, it's shiny, it gets dirt off, but it sure makes the adhesion difficult.
Christian Myers wants to know, what's a good way to get a broken pedal axle out of an old dog bone crank that has been seized for 70 years? 70, oh, what fun.
The hot wrench. The hot wrench, maybe, will apply heat.
Heat is good. The fun thing about heat is you don't need, 1800, 2000 degrees, we're starting to glow cherry red. That's Fahrenheit, our metric viewers. That's not Celsius. Don't need that. A hair dryer will do a lot of good. A hot heat gun, sticking it in boiling water, you're getting significant. 70 years, you're starting to get some significant bonding of the material. You want to drop a nickel, you can get what's called an EDM machine. You take it to an outfit with the electrical or basically a controlled lightning bolt. It will eat out dissimilar metals. If it's 70 years old and a really, really valuable bike and close to your heart, it's going to be several $100s for that process. So if you can get a machine shop to bore through, you can just re-tap it with a pedal bushing kit, might be the savior of your day. Yeah. Good luck.
Skylar wants to know, how many layers of glue should you use for tubular tires?
Oh, not too much.
Not too little.
Just right.
Three? What do you use,
I
Calvin?
would do at least three.
Three on the rim, one on the tire, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Assuming that's a brand new rim. Okay. When in doubt, put it on.
Over. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Don't be shy with the glue. That would be a fun topic. Live tubular gluing. What a mess. And the beard, I want to see this when he starts thinking, whoa.
It's never happened yet.
Okay.
Never happened yet.
Omar wants to know, what's the best way to loosen a rusted nipple on the spokes?
Oof. Here we go again. What's our good friend?
Yeah.
A little bit of heat.
A little bit of heat.
Consider where the rust is. Is the rust between the threads of the nipple and the spoke? Nipples typically are aluminum, and they can be brass. It's the aluminum that's the ones that can really corrode and create a lot of problems. Is the corrosion between the rim and the nipple. So some lubrication, some heat, and sometimes there is no option but to loosen the wheel, snip the deviant spoke, put a new one in, and carry on. So
generally, it's good when you start to true a wheel, dripping lube on the nipples, letting it kind of sit and penetrate a little bit.
That's right.
Usually a good place to start
Yeah,
before
because
you do
it's-
wheel work.
It's not that you're not creating a frictionless surface, you're allowing tension to be created in the spoke, and that holds our wheel together, the tension.
Daniel Wayne wants to know, what's your favorite park tool?
My favorite park tool is the PRS 33 repair stand. Besides, well, that's assuming I have with me the spork.
I like the chain checker myself. I've been
The
checking.
CC.
I've been
Can you eat?
checking. Yeah.
Can you eat with the chain checker?
Carefully,
Yeah, carefully, yeah.
carefully, yeah. I'd probably
Yeah.
get a lot of food in my
Two
beard,
of
but
them you could.
Yeah. I've been checking a lot of chains.
Which the CC 3.2?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
3.2.
Yeah,
Yep.
the go no go, and
Yep.
it's interesting to see the price of some cassettes. Holy smokes!
It's worth checking your chain.
It's
Yeah.
worth throwing a few chains at a cassette that is quite expensive
Yep.
to squeeze out some more miles. And fortunately, as humans, we all have our favorite gear we like to ride.
Mm-hmm.
If we would only shift and spread out that wear a little more.
Right. Spread out the wear.
Yeah,
Good advice.
yeah.
Well, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, audience, this has been fun for us. I hope it's been fun for you. Check us next 2 Tuesdays. A date here, Mr. Producer,
In 2 Tuesdays from now.
is
The
when you put a producer on the spot. The young
25th. The 25th.
25th. The young ones get out their cell phone. That's how you know they're young. He did not ride the counted crank. Thank you, and good day from Park Tool.